Hey, I'm Randy, and you're watching The Cheap Audio Man. Here at The Cheap Audio Man, we talk about high-value hi-fi, home theater, and headphone equipment. But not today. Today, it's here. We're talking about the Metallica turntable from Project. So sit down, grab a cup of coffee, and let's talk about this Metallica limited edition turntable. So this turntable was announced during the Munich audio show, and some of my wonderful fans said, "Hey, do you realize that this is happening?" And I said, "No." Oh my goodness. And within about 5 minutes of reading the first article, I sent an email to the Project representative that I know. She happened to be in Munich. She was standing right next to a gentleman from Audio Advisor. Audio Advisor is a retail business out of Michigan, and they hooked me up with this turntable. They did not give this to me, okay? I had to pay for this table, but I didn't care because as soon as this table came out, I knew I needed to have one. And there's not a lot of them. This is a limited edition, so I don't know how many of these are available, number one. Number two, I don't know how many went to the band's website because you can buy them through Metallica's website. None of that really matters. What matters is I was going to have one of these tables. And I don't know how many videos there are out, if any, of this table. So I got it in last night. It's wonderful. This is not really going to be a review, okay? Because there's already some things that mildly annoy me about this turntable at the price, and we'll talk about that. So in a way, it's going to be a review. But for the most part, I'm just going to be talking about this turntable. So let's talk about why I wanted it to begin with. So this journey for me with Metallica really started back in, I would say, the late 1980s. Picture a time of a young Randy. I grew up in a very small town. It wasn't like we were on the cutting edge of music. But I used to go over to my buddy's house. Some of my buddies had older brothers. Some of those older brothers had cassettes. One of my friends, Dan S., his brother was a bit of a rocker. So we went up to his room and he had a cassette of Ride the Lightning. And he played it. And I loved it. At the time we were also listening to a lot of other metal. So Slayer, Anthrax, a lot of what you would think of when you thought about early thrash metal. But for whatever reason, Metallica kind of stuck with me. And then I got a hold of Master of Puppets. And that record, now at the time it was a cassette, in its entirety from front to back, that record just killed me. I mean, it was so good. And I was completely and utterly hooked on Metallica. And then this record came out. Yeah. This record started to get heavy rotation on MTV with the song One. It's always on. So then I got to know Metallica even more. I already loved their music. Justice for All was a bit of a departure from what the vibe of Masters of Puppets were. And it was the first record that had Jason Newsted as the bassist. There's some controversy associated with that. So I was already all in with Metallica. And then the Black Album came out. The Black Album, of course, because it's black. Also their first self-titled album, which was interesting. It's not even called the Black Album. It's called Metallica. But it's a black. Anyway, they've always done things a little bit their own way. Anyway, when that record came out, it really got metal to the masses. Some people are going to say that record was a sellout record. Fine, I guess. Maybe it is, but I think, and I've read, that Metallica as a band understood that there was a ceiling when it came to thrash metal. And if they wanted to be a bigger band and affect more people and bring joy to more people, then they needed to change a bit. And the Black Album was a perfect example of Metallica reaching into the mainstream. But they did it their way too. I mean, they still had 7-minute songs. They still had tons of tempo changes. They were still Metallica, but they were just better Metallica. And of course, I think everybody knows that that album went on to, and still is, one of the highest selling albums to this day. So this is from an article from 2018. So this is 4 years ago. Metallica's Black Album hits historic 500th week on the Billboard 200 chart. This is a popular record. Rumor is that Jason Newsted, who's not with the band anymore, and this was his last record, doesn't have to work anymore because of royalties he gets from this record alone. And I mean, it's not like he's living in a 3-bedroom house somewhere. I think he's doing pretty good for himself. Now, granted, he's had other projects after this, but anyway, I think the majority of his income still comes from this record. I could share countless stories about Metallica and me, but for me, this is, I guess, the most important band in my life, and the one that has kind of stuck with me. I can give you all the stats in the world about them being the greatest rock band of all time. People, of course, are going to say, no, they're not, the Beatles, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. These guys have been making music for 40 years. They're still touring, consistently touring. Anyway, we're not going to get into a debate on what the greatest rock band of all time is. Today's video is about this Metallica turntable. And this turntable is like nothing else I've ever seen. Let's talk about the specs. We'll talk about how it looks later, but as far as what actually makes up the turntable, talk about that right now. Okay, so it's got a pre-adjusted Pickett S2C cartridge. We'll come back to that. An SME head shell. 8.6-inch S-shape aluminum tone arm. Tracking force and anti-skating fully adjustable. Heavy MDF plinth in unique Metallica design. Mirror finished metal top plate. Heavy glass platter and aluminum subplatter. Metal drive pulley. Precision belt drive with electronic speed control. Premium semi-symmetrical phono cable with metal connectors. Gold-plated RCAs. Handmade in Europe. For speeds, 33, 45, 78. Comes with not much. RCAs, ground, power plug. Let's talk about the design. Did I talk about the price? It's $1,600. Limited edition. I think Audio Advisor was getting 4 of these in. I have seen them available in stock on B&H for whatever reason. They're out there to be had. I just don't know how long they will be able to be had. Design on this. It's hard to explain, and it's hard to even capture it in photos. When I was sending photos around last night, posting them on Instagram and stuff, at initial glance, it's hard to even determine what this even is. No, most people that follow me are kind of into music, but even some of them that, you know, obviously aren't into Metallica or didn't know this turntable was coming out, they're like, what am I looking at? So they call this the Metallica Ninja Star. And really what it is it's 4 M's, you know, the M, and then they're offset around. And so that has been something they've used a lot in, well, t-shirts and things like that. Kind of like a branding symbol, like a logo, but it's not their logo. Don't even know if they have a logo. Maybe they have like 17 logos. Maybe this is one of their logos. I don't know. Anyway, that's what the turntable looks like from the top down. From the side, the plinth looks like it's about 1.5 inches wide. And so that's MDF. And then on the top you have metal, polished to a mirror finish. And then that just goes throughout the entire turntable. I'm going to try to show as many photos as I can to get some type of idea. Platter on here is a glass platter, and it comes, if you know, I think you can just put records on glass and acrylic platters, right? If you know, please put it in the comments, because I don't like putting this on top of that. I've heard that you can put records right on acrylic. I'm not sure about glass though. So please, I don't like this. See, this looks way cooler than having the black felt on there. Anyway, so glass platter, and then underneath there's a very, here, I'll take it apart. I don't want to take it apart, but I'll take it apart. When we're talking about being a fingerprint magnet, this thing is truly a fingerprint magnet. So this big thing right here, subplatter. So look at this big thing, okay? That sets right down inside the bearing, and the tolerances are really tight. I mean, it doesn't just like drop down because it's so tight, it displaces the air. So it's like, anyway, this is solid aluminum. Very, very nice. And then the pulley is right over there, and you just slip a belt over it. Once again, there's no dust cover on this, so this is going to be fun to keep clean. Check this out. Let me show you the tight tolerances on this. Okay, so this is gonna bounce initially and then settle in slowly. Pretty solid tolerances in there. And then this is a flat belt. It does come with a round belt, and I'm not exactly sure what that is for. But in the directions they said install the flat belt. So that's what I did. I have a bunch of footage of this, and a lot of this looked really cool until I realized it was reflections off of my fingerprints. Once you get this thing clean, can't believe I'm saying this, wear some white gloves. It included some white gloves, but I'm not putting them on right now. The head shell is removable, which is exciting for me because the cartridge Pickett S2C can be available for $130. $130 cartridge on a $1,600 turntable. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Even the $500 Fluence RT85 comes with a $200 cartridge, north of 200 even. I get it. I get it. I get it. Because Project can do something that Fluence will never be able to do. And that's talk to Metallica and come up with a turntable for Metallica. So there is inherent value with this Project turntable. And I don't even think discussing different parts as far as the performance goes on this turntable is really even applicable. I don't think it is. Thank goodness it sounds good, because I listened to it a lot last night. It sounds great. Now, I didn't have it running into any fancy phono preamp. I just had it running into the phono preamp installed. And the Emotiva PT2, which is their new preamp. But it sounded very clean, very balanced. It sounded a lot like the Ortofon OM5E, Ortofon OM10. Very balanced. Did kind of sound like a 2M Blue as well, balanced. But again, I wasn't A-Bing this with another table. I wasn't taking the cartridge and doing cartridge swaps either. I think I can swap out cartridges. I just don't know whether my Fluence head shells will fit on this tone arm. So this is the Pickett S2C. I don't want to be too messy with this because I don't have the stylus cover on it. Anyway, this is a Ortofon 2M Blue. Looks fairly similar. I mean, just from eyeballing it here. The 2M Blue looks like it might be a little bit taller. Anyway, I can figure all that out later. But if I put a different cartridge, it's not going to look as cool as this one. Because this one does look really cool on there. The back of the tone arm is an adjustable counterweight. Very similar to Fluence. You screw it on there, then you unscrew it until you get the tone arm just floating. And then you put down the right amount of tracking force, which in this case is 30. So I'm assuming that's maybe 3 grams. And then the counterweight is one of those swingy, dangly ones. And I will say, in this table, it looks like it belongs. Generally, I don't like those, but I feel like that was the right choice for this turntable. This table also comes with a VTA, or vertical tracking angle adjustment. Adjustable feet, obviously adjustable tracking with the weight. So the rocker switch turns it on and controls the speed. Click it forward, that's 33. Click it back 2, and then that's 45. Works just fine, sounds great, but to be fair, I never A-B'd it against anything. So what are my final thoughts? Final thoughts. For me, it was a foregone conclusion that I was going to get my hand on one of these tables, and it was going to stay in my possession till I die. Well, I don't know. If these start going for like 10 grand on the used market, maybe. Doubtful though. This purchase for me wasn't about value. Wasn't about the turntable. Wasn't about getting the best performance for the lowest amount of money. This was me wanting a Metallica turntable. A limited edition one. And something that is a true statement piece on top of anybody's rack. This thing's going to start conversations. Now, if I liked people and had guests over, then maybe it would start a conversation. How it is, though, nobody comes over to my house. The choice of cartridge on this turntable mildly annoys me. And I was talking to a buddy last night about it. I couldn't believe it. When I looked up the cartridge, I was like, okay, this has got to be a $200 or $300 cartridge. Right? It's got to be. And I saw it was $130. I'm like, $130 cartridge on a $1,600 table? Granted, they've got some cool aesthetics going on. I get it. I wasn't happy. Was not happy. And still am not happy about that. But to be fair, even if this thing didn't come with a cartridge, I still would have probably bought it at the price that they're asking. So that's something I need to get over personally, because there's other turntables, granted, they're probably considered to be much better turntables that don't come with cartridges. So I gotta get over that part. Everything else, though, I think is great. Some of the plastic choices that Project made on this table, again, I've had about 4 Project tables in here, and they all kind of use that harder plastic. Obviously, it works for them. They've made turntables for a while, so they know what they're doing. I said it before. Fluence is probably always my go-to recommendation for a turntable. But Fluence can never do something like this. Project has the size, the history, the gumption behind them, because they also make Beatles turntables. There's a Yellow Submarine turntable that's pretty cool. There's no way Fluence could ever do this. It does not justify its price at all from a performance standpoint. It completely justifies its price from a collectability standpoint, from a I just want that because it's the Metallica Ninja Star standpoint. It's truly remarkable. It's a turntable I've never seen anything like this before. And snobby people are gonna look at it and say, "Oh, that's a gimmick." Yeah, it's a gimmick, I guess. If you like Metallica, does it matter? I'm glad it looks the way it does. I'm glad it's so aggressive. I'm glad it's so different. Because you know what would have been the worst thing? If they came out with a limited edition turntable and it was just a plinth covered with, I don't know, a picture of them. The big Metallica logo or something like that. That would be a shame. This, however, is not a shame when it comes to a limited edition band turntable. I think this was flawlessly executed from a design perspective. Flawlessly. I don't think anybody can look at that turntable and not associate it with some type of aggression, industrial hard edges, even a bit of danger. I think it's brilliant. $1,600. If you're at all interested, I would find one, because I don't know if these are going to be around. I could be wrong. These could be sitting on the shelves for a year from now, and they could be going for $800. Good for you, because you'd get it for a better deal than I would. I'm not going to hype this up and say these are going to fly off the shelves. I don't know. Maybe. I know it wasn't super easy getting a hold of one for me, and I've got people to call. If you find them in stock and you're interested, you may want to think on it pretty hard and then make a decision. Love it. I love it. I'm so happy. I've never opened a box faster. I'm just so happy with it. I listened to it for so long last night. And again, here's another thing. Is it really about how it sounds? Because my Fluence probably sounds better. But I sure as heck enjoyed my time with the Metallica limited edition turntable last night. And I'm going to get ready to play it right now as I edit this video. So if you want to support the channel, you can sign up for Patreon. Patreon-only Zooms, Patreon-only Discord, Patreon-only Facebook group, Patreon giveaways, affiliate links. They are in the description. If you click and you buy, I do get a commission, but it doesn't cost you anymore. It's a great way to support the channel. You can also sign up for Amazon Music or Tidal Music. Check out Audio Advisor. I'll link them. This is where I got the turntable from. I do not have an affiliate relationship with Audio Advisor, but that's where this turntable came from. So don't binge watch anything on Netflix or Hulu. Binge listen, maybe, through your limited edition Metallica turntable and fill your soul with happiness. And with that, I'm Randy. I'm the Cheap Audio Man.